All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Somebody sent me this story, and I looked on a couple of places for some information on this story, and I've seen this story posted on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and some other websites. So I'm going to relay this information to you. It has not been on any major sites, but I think if this is a actual story, that it definitely has a lot of points when it comes to police brutality, the profiling of Black people in America, and self-defense. Self-defense. Now, this story is about a 6-year-old girl and her mother. The girl, 6-year-old girl, is reported in this article being named Aaliyah, and her mother is 38-year-old Denise Williams. Now, this story reportedly happened in a city called Novi, Michigan, which I've never heard of. But apparently, on this day, Walmart, February the 2nd, it says that the young girl and her mother went to Walmart where Miss Williams purchased a 75-inch smart TV. Now, she purchased the TV, and as she attempted to leave with the TV, her receipt, slipped from her purse. She was unaware, and when she continued by the door, the receipt checker, Trevor McCaffrey, it says his name. Trevor McCaffrey asked, for her receipt and, to show him the proof of a purchase. Now, she realized that I didn't have the receipt. So she explained the situation to the man, and then she went back to the cashier who she had just purchased the TV from. And the cashier confirmed that she had paid for the TV, but McCaffrey, the receipt checker, still refused to let her leave. He insisted that, look, she couldn't leave the store without a receipt. Now, eventually, Miss Denise got around him, and then she went to her SUV, putting her 6-year-old daughter in the car first, and then, asking for help from a nearby man in the parking lot to help her load the TV into her vehicle. Now, when the man was helping her, the police car suddenly pulled up, according to this article. Evidently, Trevor McCaffrey, now it doesn't give the race of Trevor McCaffrey, but, I had to assume from history he may be, a white person. Now, he called the police and said that Denise had stolen the TV and assaulted him on her way out. And the officer is Officer Lindsay Carter, a 28-year-old rookie with a reputation for being overly overzealous, which unfortunately a lot of officers are, like that officer who got out the car and slammed the handcuffed Black man in Goldsboro, North Carolina. But we're going to deal with him, as time progresses. And they said that she already had her hand resting on her gun. Now, the officer confronted Miss Denise Williams and accused her of theft and demanded that she put her hands behind her back. Now, Denise tried to explain to the officer that I had paid for the TV. The cashier could confirm it, but Carter's tone, the officer's tone, grew aggressive. Then, when Denise hesitated to comply with putting her hands behind her back, many people always say, well, you have to comply. No, you don't have to comply if you've done nothing wrong. I'm going to stand on that. Police, comes up to me and asks me to put your hands behind your back. Mr. Taylor, I'm going to say, for what? Show me the warrant. You have that right. Nevertheless, she resisted. No, you're not handcuffing me. And the officer responded with unnecessary force, the article said. The article said she grabbed Denise by the arm, struck her in the ribs, forced her to the ground, and placed her in a chokehold. We've all seen these chokeholds, these very familiar chokeholds that these cowardly officers use. And I say that with much disrespect as possible. That's for the cowardly officers. Now, not all officers are cowardly, or they do their job in a disrespectful manner. And the 6-year-old girl, Aaliyah, who was seated in the SUV, she watched her mother struggle. And she remembered that her mother kept a firearm in the glove compartment for protection, which she had taught her 6-year-old how to use and handle safely. And the article said that the young girl, Aaliyah, retrieved the gun, stepped out of the SUV, and pointed it at Officer Carter, screaming for her to stop. When Carter turned towards Aaliyah and appeared to reach for her own weapon, Aaliyah, the 6-year-old, fired a single shot, precisely striking the officer in the eye. The officer, Carter, collapsed to the ground, expired. Aaliyah immediately dropped the weapon, rushed to her mother's side, sobbing and begging for her to wake up. Evidently, the officer had her nearly unconscious. Denise regained consciousness moments later as more officers arrived on the scene. Both she and Aaliyah were taken into custody. So they take the mother and the daughter into custody. However, after a thorough investigation, Denise was cleared of any wrongdoing. The lost receipt was recovered, and security footage confirmed that Denise had paid for the TV and had not assaulted the Tyler McCaffrey guy who made the call. The footage also revealed Officers Carter's excessive use of force, which had escalated the situation unnecessarily. Aaliyah's actions were deemed justifiable as she acted in defense of her mother's life. The incident has ignited widespread debate about systematic racism, the criminalization of Black shoppers, and the excessive force used by law enforcement. The Williams family has since filed a lawsuit against Walmart, citing McCaffrey's false accusations and failure to de-escalate as key contributors of the tragic event. Aaliyah is now at the center of national conversation, is seen by many as a hero for protecting her mother in the face of grave danger. And this is the picture of Miss Aaliyah. I'm going to show it. This is the alleged picture of the 6-year-old. And that is the article that has been circulated. I've seen it on a few sites. So, a lot of things with this situation. First of all, with the criminalization of Black shoppers. I've always hated when somebody asks me for my receipt when I'm leaving the store. You know, a lot of times I would just walk by them and just like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I gotta go. Now, you know, sometimes I do, but you know, people rarely ask me for my receipts. But then we gotta go on to, you know, these security people, you know, the people at the store in North Carolina when they, you know, jumped on the man and accused him of stealing. And this Tyler McCaffrey guy says he's not going to let this lady leave, regardless if the cashier has already confirmed that she purchased the item in her possession, which leads to the police being called. Now, how many incidents in America have we seen throughout history, but also throughout the recent years, where police are called on Black people by white people for the minutest of reasons? And situations end up like this. Now, we also must talk about the overzealousness of a lot of officers. I was just talking to my mother about the situation that happened in Goldsboro. If you've been following this channel, like, everybody can see that officer who came up on the scene and slammed that young man. Everybody has pointed out that he was angry. He had a chip on his shoulder. You know, it's almost like, yeah, he was ready to do something. And within about 5 or 10 seconds on the scene, he did it. But that's a whole nother situation. But there are several officers who are equally overzealous in the performance of their duties. And when this lady tried to explain to her, you know, tried to reason with this officer immediately took her refusing to be arrested for something that she didn't do as disrespect and the opportunity to use excessive force, almost deadly, as they said the lady had to regain consciousness. So she nearly choked this lady to death on the premise that she stole a TV. Now, what's more valuable? This TV, you arresting her for this TV, or this woman's life? And so because she refused to be unlawfully arrested, you almost choke her to death. In steps the 6-year-old daughter, who had been properly trained to use a firearm. And she gets out of the car, screams for the officer to stop. And when the officer looked like she was reaching, does that sound familiar? How many Black men who have been shot by the police who look like they possibly might be reaching for a gun that actually turned out to be a Twizzler, Packer Snickers, or Reese's Cups, and loses his life? I guess the 6-year-old Aaliyah was thinking the same thing, and she unloaded on the cop. And now this cop is no longer. And that points to another issue. When you see cops doing something that is not necessarily right, do we have the right as citizens to stop that cop? You know, that time period where the officer was on George Floyd's neck, or when the officers were choking Eric Garner, or any other situation that you can think of where loss of life, many times innocent, happened at the hands of police. Is there ever a time where a citizen could step in and use force, albeit deadly force, to stop an officer when that officer is clearly doing something wrong and possibly putting the lives of others in danger? Is that a thing? Should that be a thing? To stop officers overzealous, unlawfully arresting people, almost expiring people. Should that be a thing to stop them before it happens? I don't know. But a lot of people are hailing this young lady as a hero from all the articles that I've seen. Once again, I haven't seen it on any mainstream news. So I really can't confirm if this is a true story. But it is circulating, on several sites. Somebody sent it to me on my YouTube, and somebody sent it to me on, on Facebook. So you guys tell me, what do you think about the situation? I know I've been a victim of profiling. I've been a victim of unlawful arrest. Been a victim of police almost unaliving me. I got to tell that story too. I'm gonna tell that story one day. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Tell the story. 6 and 7 deputies almost ended my life in the jail. We're gonna get to that. But y'all tell me what y'all think about this story in the comments. As always, my number 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. If it is a true story, my heart goes out to the young girl and her mother for having to deal with such an ordeal as that. All because they wanted a 75-inch TV. Peace and blessings.